If you're watching this, there's a good chance he's pulling away, and you're wondering why it feels like you're the only one who still cares. Let me guess. You've been texting him first, keeping the conversations alive, showing up for him emotionally, and yet he's distant. He's dry. He takes hours or even days to respond. You're starting to feel invisible, and now you're stuck in that awful limbo where you miss him deeply, but you're not sure if he even notices you're gone. Here's the truth. Most people won't tell you. Men don't miss what's always available. When someone knows you'll be there no matter what, they start to take your presence for granted. But don't worry, this isn't about playing cold or becoming someone you're not. It's about shifting the emotional energy. It's about understanding why he's not missing you right now and what you can do, starting today, to completely change that. Because once you know the right triggers, the psychological patterns that spark longing and desire, you'll realize you don't need to chase anyone. He'll start to feel your absence, even in the silence. He'll start checking his phone, replaying memories, wondering what changed. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 4 powerful steps to make him miss you like never before. These aren't games. These are grounded feminine strategies that create real emotional impact. So grab a pen, because once you understand step 1, everything will start to shift. Let's start with step 1. Activate his curiosity. Curiosity is one of the most powerful emotional triggers in attraction. When a man is curious about you, he thinks about you. When he thinks about you, he starts to miss you. It's not love, obsession, or even chemistry that comes first. It's curiosity. The problem is, when you're overly available, constantly updating him, explaining yourself, or showing up in his DMs with emotional paragraphs, you leave nothing for him to wonder about. You're giving him all the answers before he's even asked the questions. That's not connection. That's information overload, and it kills attraction. So how do you flip that? You create subtle emotional gaps. You stop oversharing. You become more selective with your responses. You say just enough to be polite or warm, but not enough to give your full emotional state away. When he asks how your day was, don't give a full breakdown. Say something like, "It was interesting," with a smile. That one word, interesting, leaves space for him to think. What happened? Who was she with? Why won't she tell me more? That's curiosity at work. That's how you stay on his mind without even trying. Also, don't rush to fill the silence. If he pulls back, resist the urge to chase or fix the gap. Instead, let him wonder why your energy shifted. Let him sit in the unknown. Curiosity isn't about being cold. It's about being emotionally self-contained. It shows him that your world is full, dynamic, and not dependent on his attention to stay interesting. When you become a little less predictable, a little less available, he starts leaning in. He starts looking for clues, trying to re-engage, trying to figure you out. That's when he becomes the one investing emotionally. And that's exactly what we want. This step alone is powerful, because when curiosity is activated, you no longer have to beg for attention. You simply become magnetic. Someone he wants to understand. Someone who's no longer easy to read, but impossible to forget. Ready for step 2? This next one will show you how to make your absence louder than your presence. Now that you've planted curiosity in his mind, step 2 is about creating emotional absence. And this one is crucial. When someone doesn't feel your absence, they have no reason to value your presence. And unfortunately, many women stay emotionally available long after a man has checked out. You keep texting, checking his stories, liking his posts, replying quickly, and holding space for someone who's barely showing up. All of that tells him, I'm still here, I'm still emotionally invested, even if you're not. But here's the truth. Most people ignore emotional presence is energy. And when you keep offering that energy to someone who isn't reciprocating, you train them to expect it without earning it. That creates a dynamic where he becomes emotionally passive and you become the one constantly proving your worth. So we're going to reverse that. Emotional absence doesn't mean going cold or playing petty games. It means quietly pulling back your emotional investment. You stop being the one who initiates. You stop responding within seconds. You stop being emotionally available to someone who hasn't earned a front row seat to your heart. And most importantly, you stop trying to fill the silence. because that silence, it speaks louder than any emotional plea ever could. When he notices you're no longer emotionally present, that you're no longer reacting, validating, or checking in, that's when the absence starts to echo. That's when he begins to feel the space you used to occupy. He may not notice it on day 1, but by day 5, by day 7, when he starts wondering why your name hasn't popped up, why your energy feels different, that's when the dynamic begins to shift. This is how you become unforgettable. Not by constantly reminding him of your value, but by becoming the one he realizes he underestimated. And trust me, few things impact a man more than the quiet realization that the woman who once cared deeply is no longer emotionally available in the same way. That's the power of absence. It doesn't chase, it doesn't beg, it leaves a void and lets them sit in it. Coming up in step 3, we'll go even deeper. You'll learn how to trigger something in him that makes him want to step up and re-engage. Now that you've created space through curiosity and emotional absence, it's time to re-engage his emotional drive, but on your terms. Step 3 is all about triggering something called the hero instinct. If you've never heard of it before, the hero instinct is a deeply rooted psychological drive in men. It's the desire to feel needed, useful, and respected by the person they care about. Not in a way that makes you dependent on him, but in a way that allows him to step up and feel like he's adding value to your life. Most women unknowingly shut this instinct down. You over-deliver. You do everything yourself. You carry the emotional weight of the relationship and try to prove you're low maintenance by never asking for anything. But here's the twist. When a man feels like you don't need him, he may respect your strength, but he won't feel connected to you emotionally. Men don't fall in love through words or beauty alone. They fall in love through action, through doing something for you and feeling appreciated for it. That's how they bond. That's how they invest. So how do you activate it? Start small. Ask him for something simple but meaningful. Directions, advice, a favor that requires his input or skill. Then thank him, not with over-the-top praise, but with genuine appreciation. Something like, "I really value your opinion on that," or "I knew you'd figure it out." That little moment tells his subconscious, "She sees me as capable. She trusts me. I matter here." The goal isn't manipulation. You're not pretending to be helpless. You're inviting him to connect with his masculine core, his desire to protect, provide, and contribute to something meaningful. And here's the beauty of this step. Once you trigger his hero instinct, he starts to miss the role he played in your life. When you step back emotionally, as we did in step 2, he feels the void. But when you give him just a moment to show up, to feel needed and appreciated, his emotional brain latches onto that feeling and wants more of it. Men crave the feeling of being your hero, not because you can't survive without them, but because it makes them feel alive, purposeful, and emotionally connected. And this doesn't mean rewarding bare minimum behavior. You're not here to babysit egos. But when he makes a genuine effort, acknowledge it. Let him feel like he contributed to your happiness, even if it's just in a small way. Because once a man feels that emotional fulfillment, that sense of purpose in your presence, he'll start replaying your conversations, your smile, your energy. He'll begin to associate you with the best version of himself. And trust me, when a man feels like a better man around you, that's when you become the woman he can't stop thinking about. Coming up in step 4, we're going to bring it all home by helping you reconnect with your most powerful asset, your feminine energy. This final step is the most powerful one, and it has nothing to do with him. Step 4 is about reclaiming your feminine power. Because here's the truth. No strategy, no technique, and no psychological trigger will ever replace what naturally draws someone to you when you're fully rooted in your feminine energy. This isn't about softness, weakness, or submission. Feminine power is magnetic. It's the energy that makes you radiant without effort, the presence that draws people in. Not because you chase them, but because you're deeply connected to yourself. When a man senses that you're no longer orbiting around his attention, that your joy isn't tied to his response, that your identity isn't wrapped up in whether or not he texts you back, that's when he starts to feel your value. Not just see it, but feel it. And most men aren't used to that. Feminine power is presence. It's being in your body, in your life, in your purpose. It's taking care of your mental and emotional space like it's sacred, because it is. It means you stop leaking energy trying to prove your worth, and you start living in a way that says, "I already know what I bring to the table. I am the table." You start showing up differently. Your silence becomes more powerful than your explanations. Your boundaries become quiet declarations of self-worth, not ultimatums. Your glow, your joy, your peace, that becomes what they notice when you're no longer available to be drained by inconsistency or emotional breadcrumbs. When you reclaim your feminine energy, you stop chasing and start attracting. You become less reactive and more responsive. You don't beg, you don't convince, you don't perform. You simply be. And in that being, you remind him of something he may have forgotten. Your energy is rare, and it cannot be accessed carelessly. This is the version of you that becomes unforgettable. Not because you tried to be someone you're not, but because you finally remembered who you are. And once you're in that energy, everything shifts. Your tone changes. Your standards rise. Your energy becomes calm, grounded, and undeniably magnetic. And let me tell you, when a man senses that, when he sees that you're no longer hoping for his attention, but instead focused on building your peace, your goals, your joy, he feels the shift. That's the moment he starts to miss you. Not for what you gave him, but for how he felt in your presence, and how lost he now feels without it. Reclaiming your feminine power is the final key, because when you're rooted in that space, you won't need anyone to miss you to feel whole, but they will. And not just miss you, they'll wonder how they ever took your energy for granted in the first place. And that right there is your power. Before we wrap this up, I want to give you something crucial. Something most women don't realize they're doing until it's too late. It's the number one mistake that silently pushes a man away, even when your intentions are good. It's emotional over-pursuit. Now you might be thinking, but I was just being clear. I was just expressing how I felt. I was trying to fix things. I get it. And honestly, your heart was probably in the right place. You just wanted to reconnect. You wanted to bring things back to how they were. But here's the painful truth. When you over-express, over-explain, and over-give to someone who's emotionally distant, it does the exact opposite of what you want. It doesn't pull him closer. It makes him emotionally retreat even further. Why? Because over-pursuit creates pressure. And pressure kills attraction. It's not about what you said, it's about what your energy communicated. When you're always initiating, always checking in, always trying to get on the same page, what he hears is, I need you to respond in a certain way so I can feel okay. And that energy is heavy. It makes him feel like he's responsible for your emotional state. And the moment he starts feeling that pressure, his natural instinct is to create space. That's not personal, it's psychological. When a man senses that you're overly emotionally invested before he is, he loses the motivation to pursue. It flips the dynamic. You go from being the prize to being the one trying to earn his attention. And once that shift happens, it's hard to reverse. So what do you do instead? You give space, not silence out of spite, but silence out of self-respect. You regulate your emotions without needing him to fix them. You shift the energy from I need you to give me more to I trust myself to step back and let things unfold. That change in energy is everything. Because when you stop over-pursuing, you stop pushing. And when you stop pushing, he finally has the space to feel your absence and miss what you brought into his life. And no, this doesn't mean you never communicate or that you ignore your feelings. It means you wait for reciprocity. You match effort. You share from a place of wholeness, not emotional need. That's the difference between connection and pressure. Most women lose their power, not because they're too much, but because they keep pouring into someone who's giving them very little in return. That mistake is exhausting. And over time, it not only pushes him away, it pulls you away from yourself. So if you've made this mistake, forgive yourself. You're human. But from this point forward, remember your energy is valuable. Don't spend it trying to convince someone of your worth. Spend it protecting your peace, and let them rise to meet you. One of the most common questions I get is, how long will it take for him to miss me? And while I wish there were a simple universal answer, the truth is, it depends on two things: your energy shift and his emotional readiness. Let's be honest. Most people don't miss someone the moment they're gone. They miss them once they realize that person isn't coming back the same way. They miss consistency. They miss comfort. They miss the version of you they didn't appreciate fully when they had it. But that only clicks once your energy actually changes. So if you've said you're stepping back, but you're still checking his stories, texting him randomly, liking his posts, or staying emotionally available in subtle ways, the clock hasn't started yet. The countdown to I miss her begins the moment your absence becomes real. Not dramatic, not angry, just real. For some men, that realization hits in a few days. For others, it takes weeks. And in certain cases, especially if they're emotionally avoidant or distracted by something else, it could take a month or more. But here's the key. The longer your energy stays consistent, the more likely he is to feel that shift. The more solid and grounded you are in your decision to stop giving without return, the more powerful your absence becomes. Now, missing someone isn't just about time passing. It's about what happens during that time. If he sees you glowing up, staying in your lane, focused on your life, not bitter, not reactive, not chasing, he starts to question things. He begins to remember your presence, the way you made him feel, the emotional depth you brought. And most importantly, he starts to wonder why you're not chasing anymore. And that wondering, that curiosity, is the seed of missing you. The hardest part is sitting in the silence long enough to let that process happen. Most women sabotage this stage by checking in too early, by just sending one message or liking a story to signal they still care. But every time you do that, you restart the clock. You interrupt the emotional contrast he needs to actually feel your absence. So instead of obsessing over how long it will take, shift the question. Ask yourself, how can I use this time to come back home to myself? Because the more whole, magnetic, and peaceful you become during this space, the more impactful your absence will feel. And when the day comes that he realizes what he lost, it won't be just your presence he misses. It'll be the way he felt when you gave him access to your energy, before he realized how rare it really was. Waiting is the hardest part. Once you've done the work to step back and create that emotional space, it's natural to feel restless, anxious, or even tempted to reach out just one more time. But this waiting period, it's actually your greatest opportunity to glow up, not just on the outside, but inside too. Instead of obsessing over what he's doing or why he hasn't reached out, turn your energy inward, focus on becoming the best version of yourself, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. When you invest in yourself like this, something incredible happens. Your confidence skyrockets, your happiness becomes independent of anyone else, and your energy becomes magnetic. Start with simple things that boost your self-worth. Maybe it's getting back into a workout routine that makes you feel strong and alive, or picking up a new hobby that excites your creativity. Maybe it's journaling your goals and dreams, or practicing meditation to center your mind. Whatever it is, make it something that builds you up rather than drains you. Social media can be a trap during this time, so be mindful about how you engage. Instead of stalking his posts, curate your own feed with inspiring content that uplifts you. Follow accounts that motivate you, educate you, or simply bring you joy. Surround yourself digitally with positivity. Another powerful way to glow up is by reconnecting with your support system. Spend quality time with friends and family who remind you of your worth and bring out your best self. Sharing laughter, new experiences, and meaningful conversations will remind you that your life is rich and full, even without his constant attention. And here's a secret. The more you focus on your own growth, the more you actually become the kind of woman who doesn't need anyone to validate her. That energy, it's irresistible. It's what makes him start to wonder what he's missing. So while you wait, don't wait passively. Show up for yourself every day. Celebrate small wins. Nourish your soul. This is your time to shine, because when you glow from the inside out, missing you becomes inevitable. Remember, this journey isn't just about making him miss you. It's about reclaiming your power and loving yourself fiercely in the process. We've covered a lot today. 4 powerful steps that can change the way he thinks about you, feel about you, and yes, miss you like never before. But before we close, I want you to take a moment to really absorb what we've talked about. This isn't just about tactics or tricks. It's about shifting your mindset and stepping into your own power. Remember, making him miss you isn't about manipulation or playing games. It's about creating genuine emotional shifts by honoring your own value and boundaries. When you follow these steps, activating his curiosity, building emotional absence, triggering his hero instinct, and reclaiming your feminine power, you're not just affecting him, you're transforming your entire approach to relationships. So what do you do next? First, take a deep breath and commit to yourself. Commit to standing firm in your worth and not settling for anything less than respect and genuine connection. It might feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you've been used to chasing or giving too much. But growth always comes with a bit of discomfort. Next, put these steps into practice consistently. Start by activating curiosity in your interactions. Be a little mysterious. Hold back just enough to make him wonder. Then practice emotional absence by regulating your availability and energy. Give him space to feel your absence instead of filling every silence. Look for opportunities to trigger his hero instinct by asking for small favors or advice and appreciating his efforts. And most importantly, focus daily on reclaiming your feminine power. Nurture your confidence, joy, and sense of self. Also be patient with the process. Change takes time, and not every man will respond the same way. But when you embody this energy authentically, you will naturally attract the right kind of attention and respect. Finally, don't forget to care for yourself along the way. Your happiness shouldn't depend on whether he misses you or not. It comes from within, from knowing who you are, what you deserve, and honoring that every single day. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more relationship insights and personal growth tips. Share your journey in the comments. I want to hear your stories and support you as you step into this new chapter. Remember, you hold the power to create the love and respect you deserve. It all starts with you.